Hello, hello. Good morning. Well, it's morning now. Tuesday morning, in fact. Just got time to make a quick video for OET right now. So, first things first, usual nonsense out of the way, fair use, disclaimer, etc., non-profit, blah, blah, blah. Assessment criteria, you've got it all here, you've probably seen it before. Let's be pencil, okay, I've got that. Right, so I haven't looked at this letter before, until now, in fact, and that's the way it should be. As I've said before, now I do know all these case notes, of course. I never use them because, one, people start moaning about copyright issues, or, well, no, there's no or. The main reason is that if your letter's written correctly, I shouldn't need to refer to the case notes to understand what you're talking about or writing about in your letter. Really, should I? If your letter's clear, I don't need the case notes. Your purpose should be clear as day. Dear Dr. Kev, can you take a look at my patient whose symptoms are blah, blah, blah? Is it urgent? Dear Dr. Kev, can you urgently see my patient? Today's visit, a chronology. If it's not urgent, usually a chronology. Filling in the story, telling the reader why you want me, them to do whatever you want them to do. That's it. Purpose clear. Then how to arrange the information to logically construct your narrative. Because you're telling a story. That's it. That's all that you're doing. Okay? Anyway, so let's get to the point. And, well, right. Now, one thing, use the English version of Word when you type it out, because then you'll get the corrections for spelling. Okay, this is a Russian version, whoever wrote this, so that's why. Registrar is not flagged as being incorrectly spelt. So, writing to refer Mr. Dave Cochrane, who has progressive heart failure, he requires urgent admission to the emergency department for, no article needed, treatment. You could do that, or, more to the point, I'm writing to urgently request admission. You could do that. You don't have to say, I mean, it's obviously a referral. So you don't have to say, this is a referral, I am referring. It's obvious, that's what it is. If it's a discharge or an update, you might have to say that. But it's obvious this is a referral. So what you could do, right, to get that purpose immediate, writing to urgently request admission for Mr. Dave Cochrane, who has progressive heart failure, blah, blah, blah. So you could do that. Okay? But in terms of correcting what the writer's done, we just don't need that article in front of treatment, for treatment in general. Okay? Today's visit, right. Either on today's visit or simply today, Mr. Cochrane presented a physician of breast, pain in the heart, and a pain in the heart pain. Would you just say heart pain? With sweating, associated with. Now, you need to be careful with the associated with. Associated with, so the sweating was with heart pain or with associated sweating, which is not the same. So you could just, and if it's a list of symptoms, you don't need all this. You could just do Mr. Cochrane presented with symptom, symptom. You could do it in that way. It's a list of nouns, noun phrases. Shortness of breath, heart pain, sweating, dyspnea, marked edema in both his ankles. So, However, blood pressure and pulse were normal, but jugular vein, So you could do it in that way, put all the symptoms, if they're all at the same time associated, like in a list, So you could do that, shortness of breath, heart pain, sweating, dyspnea, and the final one, and marked edema in. Now, in his ankles or both ankles, you don't need possessive and a determiner. So in his ankles, or simply both, because it's obviously, it wouldn't be somebody else's ankles, really, would it? So you could do it. So right, the reason why I'm talking about this is because conciseness and clarity. How effectively do you summarize the information, right? So, irrelevant information, etc. But also, how do you group it? How do you write it? How well is it summarized? So instead of having two sentences, a better way to summarize would be simply to have, if all the symptoms are concomitant, a list of symptoms. Dear doctor, Mr. Dean presented with blah, 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 and so and so. That would work, yeah? And that would be concise. How well the information is summarized. So we could do it in that way, for example. I'll show you the first one. We're normal. And right, now, also avoid short sentences like case notes. Don't just take case note, make it into a sentence, case note, sentence, because that's what it looks like to the reader. One, short. You're supposed to be writing joined up sentences, grammatically complete ones. And it's more concise if you do that, if you join sentences, However, indicating a contrast as a conjunction, you can simply have his blood pressure pulse were normal. However, a contrast to that, a jugular venous pressure was elevated, were observed. In addition, or additionally, his apex beat was in the sixth intercostal space. Okay. Initially, Mr. Cochrane presented with subcompensation. Additionally, he was diagnosed with lung infection. Now, right, so we've got some information here, but I will try and group a little bit better than we have done. Right here. So you've got this about advised, verb, advice, a noun, to reduce alcohol intake. Well, I don't know yet what his alcohol intake is. So surely it would be better to put what his intake is and then say he was advised to reduce this, not he was advised to reduce this, and his intake is this. It doesn't have a logical flow, So you've got the lung infection, antibiotic for management for his infection. So Mr. Cochrane presented with subcompensation of a left ventricular failure, as well as lung infection. There's no need for separate sentences. Therefore, now you could do I prescribed, active, I did this, or you could make it passive. Some cases passive is more concise. So and so was prescribed. Instead of therefore I prescribed. Again, you can make it more concise if you do that. Okay, so you could get rid of that. For example, if you wanted to, you could get rid of that. Let's undo it. So management of his infection. Now, one reason why we can use the passive is because it puts the important information at the beginning of the sentence. Instead of saying, I did this, I did that, what was it you did? Put that at the start. Put the treatment, put the condition, the important information at the beginning of a sentence, because it's obviously you who prescribed it. So we don't need it to be active in this sense, okay? We can use, the passive. So-and-so was prescribed, so-and-so, because we kind of guess from the context who is the agent, who performed the action. Obviously, it was you, so you don't need that. Okay? Furosemides were prescribed. Now, I'm not going to rewrite all this, so there might be some things I omit. And, as always, like I keep saying, pressure of time. I've got 8 minutes before my first lesson starts, so I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as possible. It was advised to use active. So, so you can put this, right? Put that there, right? Mr. Cochrane has smoked 26 for weeks, for which he was advised to reduce. So it was advised to reduce his consumption, which he was advised to reduce his consumption. You could just say that. Yeah. For which, hang on, let me just change that. For which, yeah. So we're grouping this. Instead of sentence here, other sentence here, put that information together. Mr. Cochrane has smoked 20 cigarettes a day, and drunk 20 cigarettes per week. For some year, has smoked or has been smoking, let me see, prescribed, has smoked. Right, so if you're using present perfect, we need to know how long it's been going on for. So, has been smoking 20 cigarettes a day, and has drunk them for weeks, which was advised to reduce his consumption. 2 weeks later, for my recommendation, his condition had improved. Now, I don't know if you need to put that about exercise, because we can kind of guess he probably doesn't, so. And you don't say anything else about it. About, did you recommend that he exercise? There's nothing here about it. So you mentioned the smoking, and you mentioned that you recommended that he stop, but there's nothing about the exercise. If you said 2 weeks later, following my recommendations of reduction and exercise, his condition had improved, then you could use it, but you don't mention it, you never come back to it again. So it's just like dropped in a sentence out of nowhere, seemingly with no connection. So maybe that wouldn't really work. I'd appreciate it if you could provide urgent mission for management. Any questions, please don't to contact me. Okay, so we've got the purpose, urgent admission, today's visit, shortness of breath, edema, drug venous pressure, blah blah blah. Initially, so history paragraph to give some context, give some background. Subcompensation, lung infection, he's been smoking and kind of drinking. I recognised it. However, today, when he presented, so his condition improved. So anything else that we can do? Anything else? Let me just have a quick look. So we've got that. You could maybe mention something about regarding his history, then put that there. So instead of the initially, actually I think that's better, because just saying initially, as you could say, regarding his medical history. Okay, that's maybe better than initially. Mr. Cochrane presented this, smoking, drinking. 2 weeks later, for my recommendation, his condition had improved. Now, it's just this thing about his condition had improved. If it had improved, then why was he coming in earlier complaining of all this shortness of kind of breath? So there must be something there. So I'd probably, so right now, again, the case notes might say something else, right? But I don't have those. And as I said, you haven't spelled that right, have you? Observed. How do you spell that? Observed. Yeah. That's it. So, as I say, I don't have a case note, so maybe that might give me some clue. But as I said, I shouldn't need them. So, if we look at this, right, in a logical way, right? So, you've got urgent request, admission, today's visit, shortness of breath, and blah, 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 blah. Regarding his history, so he's been in before ventricular failure, he's had some pills, he smokes and kind of drinks. Right. So that's giving me a bit of background as to why he might be kind of here now. But then he says, 2 weeks later, his condition had improved. So this sentence here, right, condition had improved. Well, if it improved, why did he come in again today? What happened? I thought you said his condition had improved. Sorry. So you would need to either take that sentence out or put something else in. Do it say to find my condition had marginally improved, so just saying had improved begs the question, well, if it had improved, why do you want me to take him in now? What happened? I thought you said his condition had improved. Again, the case notes might say something else, right? But this needs a modification, if you see what I'm trying to say. His condition had marginally improved. However, we need some contrast here. We need something to show if it had improved, like you say, then why is he coming in for urgent admission? So that needs some clarification there, okay? And then I would appreciate you about urgent admission in view of the above. Okay, so I hope that helps. I say I'm going to have to stop now. I'm going to have to leave it. So purpose, okay. What happened? Urgent. History paragraph, okay. But like I say, we need something to connect this with why is he here now? Yeah. So not too bad. I hope that helps. Quickly. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is for my Telegram group, OET right now, link below. If you're watching it in the group, hope it helps. Subscribe to the channel, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to try and do some more videos today. There's a bit of a backlog. Don't know, 3, 4, 5 people sent letters. But anyway, I will do the best that I can. Okay, so hope that helps. I'll see you later.